Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about The Boys, Season 1, Episode 8. It's called You Found Me. So, full spoilers for the episode, as always, and of course, full spoilers for the whole season now, because this is the season finale. So, we finally know what the big, because we heard a while ago, big cliffhanger. Going to be a big cliffhanger before Season 2. So, we finally got to see what that was and experience the end of the journey here for Season 1. So, I guess we just kind of worked through it. This one's because what I always like to do with these plots is to just like, okay, you got an A plot, a B plot, a C plot, X characters in this one, Y characters in that one, and just follow them. This one's a bit weird in that because everything kind of culminates, they all do eventually kind of converge and weave in and out of each other.
To a point, yeah.
Yeah.
I think also there's a lack of resolution. That usually when we talk about these plots, we get to the end and go, okay, and that's the end of that plot because it finishes. They don't really in this episode.
They do to an extent for some of the plots, like
some.
Obviously the big one between Billy and Homelander doesn't really have a resolution outside of the shock sort of cliffhanger, right? Because that's your big hook for season 2.
Sure. But I feel like the main gang as well don't have much of a resolution.
Oh, the main gang don't. But I think the reason why I don't think of it that way is because I think Starlight has a resolution in this scene.
She does, yeah.
Yeah. And what kind of became one of my favorite plots of this season. We're looking forward to her kind of stepping up, and I guess we'll start with her. Why not? Let's start with her. She over the course of the episode, she confronts her mother. That's her first big thing about her childhood and. Ask why her dad left and ask why, what age was she when she let Vought start pumping drugs into her. And her mother's reaction kind of tells her that it's true. That
I was actually surprised by this. I was surprised that the parents knew at all. I just had assumed, from what we'd seen in the hospital, that they just pump it into all the kids and some develop, some don't.
Yeah, no, it sounds like they actually pay. Well, actually, she says it wasn't. They pay for hospital bills. They don't actually pay them off. It's just they sell it to them as, "Hey, your kid will be special. Your kid will be magical."
Kid will have powers. Yeah, exactly. And I can see why that's the appeal. But given how many there is, I'm surprised that okay, presumably all the parents have gone through this, or a lot of them. I'm surprised that it hasn't come out into the public.
Yeah, I guess they're all saying NDAs, which we know they do sign.
Sure, but I mean, on this scale, still.
Sure, yeah. Maybe some of them are paid off. Maybe.
Maybe if they try and talk, they get killed.
Yeah. Actually, that makes a lot of sense. Like if they catch wind that any of them are going to talk, they just send in Homelander or whoever else to whack them. But and we find out her father lately left because he couldn't handle with the idea that this is what had happened to her, that he couldn't lie to her. As opposed to whatever story her mother told her before. So, we get this confrontation, and it's her sticking up to her mother. And then next time we see her, she's in church, and
worth noting as well. It doesn't seem like that much time has passed, but she's completely fine after those gunshots.
Yes. I always got the impression she would be. To me, it felt like the high caliber was enough to, because I never got the impression it actually went through her. It was just like
no, because it never even teased that she was really dying or anything like that. She sat up after, but I didn't realize she'd healed this quickly.
No, the way it hit her was kind of like with a real person when they get hit with like a rubber bullet. It doesn't go in. It's like a thud. Like it'll knock the wind out of you, but it's not penetrating your skin. So. No, and obviously by this point, like, Huey's coming for help because the rest of the boys have been captured. We'll get to that. But he tries to convince her to help. And she, quite rightly, is angry at him because of everything that's transpired, because of the secrets he was keeping. And she asks, why did you even tell me? I said, because I thought you should know the truth. And gets really upset at him. And she's like, why would I help you? Like, you're lucky I'm not arresting you right now. Why would I help you? And he says, well, because Vought's doing something awful. And it's your job. You're a superhero. And, and that's kind of always what we expected her arc to be, is that this idea she would overcome whatever Vought's trying to make her do and just be the hero she wants to be. That was always going to be her thing. And he says, and she's like, when's the last time I saved someone? And he says, you saved me. Like, you brought me back from this brink by being there.
I like that even before he gets to that bit, he's you say she looks genuinely confused. And she's like racking her brain going, I never saved you. What the hell are you talking about?
And she rejects this. She says, "I don't care," and she walks off, and that's kind of the scene. And she's getting drunk at this party that the Vought's throwing, and she's kind of flirting with this guy drunkenly, but then goes to throw up instead. And the beautiful thing about this is that it also kind of, obviously the story's not done yet, but it also gives Maeve kind of a little conclusion to her story for this season. Just not a full one, but just a little one where not only is she stuck up for Annie at this point, she then takes this moment to say, "Hey, don't become me." Right, I've already become me, and that story about the bus and me breaking my arm, that was all true, because I used to believe in this, and I used to be like you, and I became me, and I'm telling you from experience, don't become me. And it's actually it mirrors quite well Mallory's thing to Hughie, like, don't become me, don't do it, and be the goody two shoes, be that person, be that asshole, because one of us needs to be. And it's this idea that Maeve believes in it still, she's just too far gone to be that herself. And I like that. I like that kind of passing of the torch, and the idea that, no, what you believed in with Maeve, that idol you had growing up was real at one point. Like, you can still aspire to be that.
It wasn't just the marketing, guys.
Yeah, so there's that kind of beautiful thing. And of course, it leads to the big moment later. I guess we'll jump over to the boys now, just because obviously their whole predicament leads to her big entrance later.
Yeah.
So, Hughie goes over to see Mallory with Billy. And Billy's whole thing here is that they are not going to be protected by the FBI because, much like we suspected...
Still CIA.
Sorry, CIA. I keep saying FBI. Whatever, you know what I mean. Because the terrorists have supers now, and we get this opening scene with Homelander just, cutting through terrorists, and the army's just kind of standing around.
Hey guys, I got this.
It's this brutal scene with him just ripping people in half with the heat vision.
And then it's the last guy where he's running around. He's like, "All right, guys, it's all clear." And then there's the guy running, and he just in half.
Yeah, and then I'll just look at him. He's like, "For America," and it flies off. Or God bless America, whatever he said.
I love Homelander and this portrayal, in the just how twisted and amazing he is at doing the Superman act while being utterly terrifying.
Yeah, no, it's great. I think Anthony Starr, his name is.
Yeah.
I think he's great in this role.
Oh, he's fantastic.
So it says this idea that it doesn't matter how bad this is, and there's another scene to reiterate this with Stillwell, where Bobby from Supernatural's there, and I guess it's because Eric Kripke's running the show. He got a small part for Bobby. But Bobby, what's his last name? And the reason why I'm trying to think of his last name is because he's named after a producer who worked on a bunch of shows. And the reason why I know that is because he was a producer on Lois and Clark, and I recognized the name from Supernatural, and that's weird. And I looked it up, and it turned out the character in Supernatural had been named after this producer. And I was like, okay. Neat little
I never watched Supernatural.
Trivia line.
I can't help you, sorry.
I want to say Bobby Fischer, but I don't know if that's quite right. Anyway, so Supernatural viewers could tell me.
They're shouting at you in the comments already.
They are. I can feel it. So, and it's just this thing where it's like he wants to prosecute her because he's suspicious that, so your compound got to terrorists. I'm not buying that you don't know anything about this. I'm not buying anything. And she's like, ultimately, it doesn't matter. Like all those like weapons you've made in the past, all those missiles, you used to be the head of this company that did all this stuff. They're all toys now. And the only people who have the weapon that can fight these supers is my company. So we are basically immune to anything right now.
Yep.
And because of that, the boys are not going to be protected. Their families are going to be, but because Vought wants them, because the supers want them, they are open season.
Yeah, and one of my favorite little beats on this plot here is that we learn it was Homelander behind it all.
Later. Yeah. This is the party Homelander's talking to Stillwell, and we find out she knows nothing about this. Homelander had...
We were kind of acting under the assumption that, especially at the end of last episode where it was that really convenient timing, we were kind of like, oh, she knows something's going on, and she really does.
Honestly, yeah, that moment actually plays better now, because she did look genuinely quite worried for the most of that interview. So that makes sense now that she didn't know that this was about to happen.
Yeah, she had no clue, and that's just another sign of Homelander just going off and doing his own thing and being terrifying. Yeah,
being terrifying. He's making supervillains. They literally didn't have supervillains before. He's went and made them.
Yep. Yeah. It is taking that whole did Batman cause the supervillains to exist? Did he is he the reason the Joker exists? It's taking that to the extreme.
Yeah, this is him literally dunking him in the toxic waste and going, "Become the Joker, become the Joker."
Yeah, it's like I need a challenge.
Yeah. Um, no, that was an interesting revelation actually that she didn't know that. But so Billy kind of tries to pretend that everything's okay, and they see right through him. Like he's like, "Nah, we've got them. Like we've almost won." And we're like,
There's
no,
a great
not.
bit where TIA lady hangs up the phone on him, and he keeps talking. It's like, yeah, all right, okay. Well, see you later, love.
Yeah, Raina, yeah, CIA lady.
I forgot her name.
Yeah, well,
Listen, it was CIA.
Shut up. So he takes Billy, or he takes Huey with him to see Mallory because he wants some intel. And Mallory is very reluctant, but she does ultimately tell him, "Look, he's got a relationship with this Stillwell. She's his weakness. That's all I can give you." But the big thing for me in this scene was the way she talked to Huey, and it's like, "Don't become this. Don't go for revenge, because all it leads to is what I'm doing right now, which is hiding and bird watching."
Yeah. And it's the same thing that told him as well.
Yeah.
In relatively early on in the season.
Yeah. Obviously, it's one of the big messages of the show, one of the big themes of the show is the idea of vengeance and it not being the right way to live your life, basically. Not being the thing you obsess over. So, no, that stuff's good. But of course, the big confrontation between them is when they get back and they realize that by this point, the others in the hotel room, or the motel room, sorry, have been nabbed by Vought's forces, essentially. And it's actually a really great moment because Kimiko is actually hogging the bathroom because she decides to brush her hair and then she puts on a little bit of nail polish and makeup and she's almost trying to talk as well. She's in the mirror kind of trying to mouth words and she's quite
trying to make the noises, but it's not coming out.
Yeah, I wonder if this is a side effect of the Compound V. This is why she can't talk.
It could be. It could also be that she maybe hasn't spoken in a year or 2 years, however long she's been trapped down there, and at first, presumably as a way of just not talking to, not giving them information. But over time, maybe now, if you don't talk for even a day or two, your voice can just really struggle to come out. So I imagine after a year or months.
Yeah. Well, the sad irony of this scene, though, is that she's kind of starting to become a person again. I mean, not that I think this means she's a person again, but I think symbolically her kind of caring and trying to, present herself makes her feel like she's starting to be her again. And she, as soon as she does this, she immediately hears something's wrong. And there's a moment where she comes out of the bathroom and Frenchie and that don't know something's wrong yet. And he's like, "Oh, look at you," in his French accent. Yeah. And he's like excited to see her look this way and look healthier and happier. But she's already, she already knows though that someone's outside. And then the tear gas comes in,
and he shoves her back into the bathroom, blocks the bottom of the door with a jacket or something.
Yeah, and she takes out a couple of guys, but unfortunately she gets nabbed with a tranquilizer. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah. She gets out the window and then gets shot. And she gets under the car, tries to hide, but obviously it's over. But there's a moment where she looks down at her hands and sees that the freshly painted nails, it's all ruined already.
Yeah, dirt's already over them. She's it was almost symbolic that she finally escaped. Really, up until now she's still been kind of a vicious wild animal because that's what they made her, and she was starting to feel like a person again. And then
dragged right back into it.
Immediately she's a captive in a cage again. So Huey's like, "Okay, we have to go try and save them," and Billy's like, "Nah, we've got this thing for Homelander. We're going to do that instead, in their honor." And he's like, "No, you're abandoning them," and it becomes this confrontation. And once again, Billy tries to manipulate him by bringing up Robin, like, you need to do this for Robin, and he's like, "No, I'm refusing to do this, and I want to save them for Robin because that's what she would want me to do. Because that's like the honor of her memory is not to become a killer. The honor of her memory is to be something better, kind of idea." So he just says, "Piss off, yeah, C-bomb," and Billy leaves. So Huey, and this is what leads him to go see Annie, which fails, of course. And then his ultimate plan after that is to intentionally get nabbed by going back to the motel. And he basically wears his old retainer, which has some metal in it, so that Frenchie can lockpick them out. Now he's lucky they ended up in the same cell, because for all he knew, they were all in separate rooms that weren't bars. Like they could have been in like isolation rooms for all he knew.
They could have been, but I mean, worth a gamble, even if it was traditional cells, which I think is a reasonable assumption. All right, they're locking us in cells. You can throw a retainer through the bars.
True. So Frenchie gets them all out. And I like how
after a little bit of comedy that the retainer's stuck in, and
oh
has to
sure,
get
yeah.
punched in the face.
What I like about this scene though is they're genuinely pleased to see him, and also they're like, because he comes in with a bag on his head and the guards kind of roughing him up a little bit. They're like, they kind of start yelling at the guard to like not be rough with him. It's like they actually kind of care about it. It's like, okay, we'll go back to like episode 2 and 3 when they first meet Huey, and they're like, who's this kid? Why is he here?
Yeah.
It's a bit of a journey, a bit of growth throughout the season in terms of their bond as a unit, right? Because I also think this is the first episode we actually hear them referred to as the boys, and it's just a casual thing that Billy says. He refers to them as I put the boys back together kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's not really a name; it's just how he refers to them.
It felt really natural. It didn't feel like one of those. Oh, he said the title.
Oh
moments.
yeah, no, it's because it's just how an English person would say it about a group of friends.
Yeah, it's a really normal thing to say.
Yeah. So they get out and they're getting to they've taken out a couple of guards and they're getting to where Kimiko is, but there's too many guards and they've got one gun, and it's a very funny scene where Huey has to give the covering fire because Frenchie's hitting the shoulder and MM's going to go, and he's like, and again, this shows a bit of growth because all season MM's been like, why are you looking after this girl, and he's been joking about this his girlfriend and kind of teasing for it, but ultimately he sees how much he cares in this scene. He's like, she better be worth it. And he's like, cover me, and he, dives in himself, runs in and grabs her.
Yeah, because it's after a bit of a heart-to-heart with him and Frenchie earlier about the fact that he never told them that he has a daughter.
Yeah, and again, it shows that this is what I'm saying. This show has heart. It actually has heart. It makes you care about the characters.
It's why we've been enjoying it, because it's the thing that stops it just being hyper-violent satire.
Edgy nonsense. Yeah. And sure enough, he gets her back, but they're, the guards are all storming them. They've run out of ammo. They're coming in.
We can't reload.
Can't reload. That's happened already, but yeah, they're out of ammo.
I tried to go to mention.
But then you just see the light, the beam of light come from behind them, right? And sparks are flying, and you know what's happening here. And I don't know what it is. I don't know why I knew this, but I knew that when she walked up, after she's taken out the guards, and Huey says, "Why did you come and help us?" I knew exactly how she was going to phrase it. And I don't know why, but I just knew she was going to say it with an F-bomb. I just knew she was going to say, "I'm an effing superhero." And I don't know why. I don't know if it's just because the writing was so well that it made so much sense for her to say it that way. But Joe, what I love about it is that think of any other context where the phrase "I'm an effing superhero" would come off as endearing as this. Because I think that would almost sound like edgy nonsense at any other time. That it would sound like "I'm the goddamn Batman." It would sound like that in most contexts.
Yeah, no, in most contexts it's something out of Titans.
Yes, which would sound ridiculous. But in this moment, it's endearing. It's her choosing to be this, so it's a big moment for her. It's her big finale moment of the season that she's making this choice.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter that they're not with the company or that they're seen as outlaws by the company or the government. She knows this is the right thing to do, and she's going to do it because she's a goddamn hero. And then on top of that, you have the big entrance. You have the big saving moment where she saved the day. And it also means that, come next season, when they're teamed up again in some way, which I'm sure will happen, Frenchie and Mother's Milk are going to trust her quicker because they look at her here and they're like, she's helping us. They don't even exchange much lines. It's just like, when Billy's like, no, she's a super, we can't trust her, when he's back with them at some point, they're going to stick up for her.
No, she saved us.
Yeah. She is actually a goddamn hero in the right sense of the word. Yeah. And I love the idea that, between her and also the way when Huey said it earlier, but in this moment, it's this idea of her reclaiming the word superhero from this corporate, bunch of dickbags. So there's a really nice plot there. I really like that arc.
No, there is. It's nice.
So
I think because this is the end of that plot, right? Obviously we got a bit more Starlight.
Outside of the confrontation with A-Train, yeah.
Yeah. A little bit underwhelmed. As the end of the season, I knew that there's a cliffhanger, and I like the actual main cliffhanger. I feel like I could have done with an extra couple of beats from the main gang to kind of feel like the end of a season. Sure. I feel like there's kind of just ends a bit abruptly, like, okay, they're done now, and we're just not coming back to them.
I mean, I get what you're saying. I think I love this scene so much, though, and yeah, it does feel like we could have used one scene with MM and Frenchie with Kimiko, sort of just after the fact. I get what you're saying. I think for Annie and Hugh, though, I feel like they have a perfect ending.
Yeah, for those two it is. It's the rest of them that feels kind of just like there's no resolution. And sure, there's a season 2. It's not the end of the world, but
I think their heart to heart and like going to save Kimiko's kind of their what's supposed to be their big moment.
I think it's supposed to be, but I think it is lacking just a beat after that for me.
So A-Train sees them and he's like, "Oh, Homelander was right. You are working with them," kind of thing to Annie, and Annie's like, "Go." Right, so they leave, except notably Huey. Huey shuts. It's like a shutter. It's like a like a loading dock sort of shutter.
Yeah.
And he closes it, and he's like, "No, I'm not leaving you. I'm staying." And what I like about this is that it kind of very quickly like tells Annie how much he cares about her without us having to see them talk about the fact that he lied to her again. It just neatly does it in a moment. It's really nice.
It is, yeah.
Because I'm sure, obviously, there's still going to be a little bit of weirdness because they did lie to each other, but it does very quickly kind of get this point across of like, no, he does genuinely care about you. He is choosing to stick up for what he believes in right now, regardless of the fact that he's useless because he's not a superpowered individual.
Right, and there's more of that in a minute as well.
Of course, yeah, because obviously we get this big slow motion standoff where she's like firing beams of light as A-Train's dodging them, and
yeah.
I think from the get-go, I thought he can win this because super speed does kind of outweigh it. All he has to do is dodge the blasts.
Well, I think the only question was okay, Starlight. It's presumably if she just covers a reasonable area, can he outrun the speed of light?
Sure.
Was the only thing in my head as to okay, can she win? But I mean, I agree. He can just dodge. It seems.
Yeah, because it's more of a projectile. So assuming as long as her blasts aren't the speed of light, and I would argue they're not technically because
I agree. But I'm wondering if there is some element of them that is.
Yeah. But he dodges and he ends up whacking her, and it blows them both back in a bit of a force field. And Huey, stands up in front of her to protect her, and she's like, "No, what are you doing? Like, he'll just rip you apart. You're not a superhero." And he's like, "I don't care." And A-Train's like, "You killed the only person I ever loved," and he's like, "I didn't kill her." It's like, "Well, I did. I know that, but it was because of you." Yeah. And then A-Train has a heart attack, and this doesn't come out of nowhere because A-Train, of course, we see that he healed very quick, and he claims it wasn't because of Compound V.
Well, yeah, because we see him at the start of the episode with crutches.
Yeah, and we should talk about that scene. Actually, it's a very interesting little scene he has in a shoe store.
Where the guard is clearly eyeing him up.
Yeah, he's profiling him.
Yeah, exactly.
By the way, was it just me or does this guy look a little bit like Kurt Russell? There was a little bit of old Kurt Russell in there with a mustache. Like, if you just made it more of a handle thing, you'd have gotten the Hateful Eight Kurt Russell to me. I don't know.
I can see it
A little bit. But he's clearly profiling him. And I think what I liked about this scene is that he profiles him, doesn't believe he's A-Train until he sees that there's people filming him because they know he's A-Train, and then he immediately changes his tune. And
it's like, oh, now that I know you're A-Train, it's fine.
And it's a really interesting thing that I've noticed this show doing, where it takes these awful characters but still makes them victims of things in society. It's kind of like how the Deeps, this sexual assault, or what's the phrase I'm looking for? Sexual abuser maybe is the term I'm looking for.
Yes.
But it still does things to him that are kind of unjust. And it's the same thing here, where A-Train's an awful person who has killed people, laughed about it, and done everything else, right? Killed his girlfriend at the behest of his captain.
That doesn't make this okay.
No, it doesn't. No, he's still clearly been racially profiled, and this shouldn't happen. And the show's done this a few times, and I think it's really interesting that it explores these things from the perspective of these awful people. It kind of points out the fact that like this profiling problem specifically is universal regardless of who the person is. It doesn't matter what he's done, this is still wrong.
Yeah, because as much as we know he's a terrible dickbag,
this guy doesn't.
To the public, he is a hero.
Yeah. So it's really interesting. It's doing a really good job of making things not be just black and white. It's doing a really great job of saying there's nuances to this, and one thing does not mean that someone is still okay to be sort of the other or whatever, or however you want to phrase it.
Yeah. It kind of goes what we were saying about with the Deep. I think it was last episode.
When he was assaulted with
everything he did was terrible, and he should be punished for that, but not like just by having the same thing done to him.
Yeah, that's not how the world should work. Which kind of goes back to the revenge. It fits into the whole theme of the show.
It does.
Just because Homelander, and we'll get to what Homelander may or may not have done, because I've got some questions on it based on where it goes. Just because he may have done this awful thing, that doesn't mean that the punishment should just be revenge, because revenge isn't going to get a result. And it's kind of the unhealthy thing that Billy has. But anyway, A-Train has a heart attack and goes down. And Huey goes to start CPR, right? And he says, call 911, whatever. And Annie's like, and Annie, who has been like a hero and been, don't kill people, blah, 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 says, he's just going to keep coming for you, and doesn't say this next part, but essentially implies maybe this is the easy way out. It's just not to save him.
Yeah, she doesn't have to say that, but it's clear that that's what she's implying.
Well, because now that A-Train's tried to, kill them, and she's convinced enough that they're doing these awful things that she's like, okay, I'm not a killer, but maybe we should let them die because it would make this easier. And Huey, having killed Translucent and felt guilty about it, and because the memory of Robin kind of like being this guilt and Annie kind of replacing that, like he's like, no, this is not me. Like I know this isn't me now. It's like I know he'll keep chasing me. I don't care. I still have to try and save him. And it's like, okay, so what? First of all, to us, he's just a goddamn hero. He's the human being that's a hero. It doesn't matter. He's not got superpowers. Yeah.
And it says it to Annie as well that exactly. All the shit he lied about and all that stuff. It's not actually that important because in this moment where it's okay, he has an easy way out to save both of them potentially, but especially himself. He still, he tries to save him anyway.
Yeah. So she's like, okay, fine. I'll call the ambulance. I'll take over. You need to go. There's no reason for you to stay here. I can do this and call. And she does, and that's the end of their plot. I love this. This entire scene where she shows up and saves them, has this conversation, then this conversation with A-Train, this entire extended sequence, maybe my favorite scene in the it's a big scene, admittedly, but it may be my favorite scene in the whole episode. I just love this culmination to all this stuff with their two characters. Because I think there was a worry, even though I was enjoying everything that we're doing with them, there's a worry with these sort of confrontations because I'm so used to other shows looking at UCW where one character's lying to another about something, and usually the lie itself feels forced. In this case, it didn't because they didn't know each other yet, so it was kind of it felt more natural. But there is a worry that the confrontation will feel tedious, and I think they had just enough fighting once it came out. And then the resolution here was just pitch perfect. That it just worked.
Yeah, and there was enough time between that it didn't feel like it was an immediate reversal, but it didn't drag it on for too long.
Exactly, yeah. So for a very tightly paced season, I'll say that for sure.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So
I think in the pacing department, my only thing was I wanted the full mockumentary episode, which would have meant though you'd have to tack on another episode to add the other bits and stuff around it.
Absolutely, yeah.
But no, excellently paced overall.
Yeah, and since it's only 8 episodes and they're already shooting, I'm actually feeling quite confident they can actually hit the same time next year for season 2.
Give or take, yeah. Because depends obviously what else Amazon have got in their schedule, but
yeah, but given they're already shooting, I think that's the other benefit to having 8 episodes. If we're getting to this point where 10 or 13 takes like a year and a half to do, then maybe going to 8 does actually help a lot of them keep to a more consistent schedule.
Yeah, it depends. There's a lot of post effects in this though.
That's true. But I mean, they're already shooting and it's a year out, so I'm still feeling pretty confident.
No, I am too. But I mean, if it turns out we don't get it till October, I won't be shocked.
Okay, yeah, it's like a couple of months though.
Yeah.
If this was another show on Netflix, I know this is Netflix, but if this was a show on Netflix, I'd be expecting like March the following year.
Yeah.
So, probably. Yeah. Before we go into the main stuff with Billy and Homelander, because obviously that's super interesting. Let's talk just quickly about the Deep's last couple of scenes. He's excited because the Seven's been called in to fight for the government. He's like, oh, I'm getting to leave this shitty little town. He's making his smoothie, which has booze in it.
The vodka smoothie, yeah.
Which, by the way, see this guy that's with him? He was reminding me so much, bizarrely enough, of that New Zealander guy who...
Yes, thank you. I've been thinking it, like the first episode he showed up and I was like, I've seen him somewhere, and I looked him up, and I hadn't.
Yeah, he's not. Here's the thing. Every time he spoke, I almost expected it to be a New Zealand accent, and it wasn't. But
it's the shape of his face and the hair.
Yeah, he's just got the same kind of demeanor, and it's the same type of character where he... Like, I can imagine that actor from... he was in... Taika Waititi's film, What We Do in the Shadows, and he was in that episode of The X-Files. He's a really funny guy. Like, he's a really charming, funny guy. Like... I could see him doing this scene, and it would almost play out the exact same way. You just have the accent.
Yeah, exactly. But no, you're right, because all episodes I was like, this guy, I got there somewhere in this episode, and I was like, I need to remember that, and I'd completely forgotten to bring it up till you just mentioned it. It was a relief when it finally clicked for me because it was bothering me all the previous episode.
best part of this scene though is when he finally just says the word "you're not leaving." Everybody Hearts just starts playing. So,
yeah, I love that. He was so excited about leading his dolphin squad. Like, yeah, he was like, it was too much effort to train them before, but with me there, we're gonna kill it.
Yes, and then we get one more scene with them. Everybody Hearts keeps playing over this scene as he shaves his body and then eventually his head.
Yeah,
and that's the scene.
It's a cheesy cliche scene, but it works.
My favorite part of it's the same thing that happened with the lobster before. Is when the first scene ends and he's just sort of looking out the window. It just cuts away a little bit quicker than you expect, which makes it funnier.
Yeah,
just a little bit offbeat. Hey, Firefly! The cat's just jumped up on my leg. Hey, what is it? What's up, cat? You want attention? So stuff with Homelander throughout the episode with Stillwell. Stillwell gets an offer from her boss, which is Gus for Breaking Bad.
Yeah,
Gus Fring's in here, and I feel like he's a big enough actor that they've probably introduced him here because he's going to be given where Stillwell is at the end of this episode. I feel like
I can tell you, having seen an interview after I watched this, he is directly replacing.
Yeah,
that.
I didn't expect that. I didn't suspect that in the scene where he was introduced because I didn't know she was going to die yet. But once she died, I was like, well, I guess Gus is sticking around next season.
Yeah.
So. That makes sense to me.
I think they said that a couple of the other cameos that we saw throughout, at least one of those will be a bigger role.
Oh, that's cool. So she gets this offer because she's succeeded in all this, setting up all this government stuff and whatnot. It's bringing in a lot of money. And Homelander comes to see her, and again we get more of his thing where he's kind of looking for, like, he's like, oh, you've been avoiding me. She's like, oh, I've not. I swear I've not been. You know, you've been instrumental to all this stuff. And this is when he reveals that he was behind spreading the Compound V to the terrorists and so on. And at least the scene after this where they go back to her office, I think it is, to have sex. And it's a very interesting scene for a couple of reasons. I think the first thing is that she very much takes control and stops him from grabbing her.
Fault, yeah.
To a fault, to stop him from hurting her, basically, because like when he starts squeezing, like he doesn't know his strength essentially.
Yeah.
And...
But I think part of it is also like is supposed to be a show of control in the sense of, hey, no, you went off books with that without my say so. Just remember who's in charge here, kind of.
It feels like, again, it's kind of what I went back. I said this in like episode 2 or 3. How a lot of the power dynamics on this show is the typical man in power having control over the women and taking it to the extreme. This is very much, she's using sex and as a way to control him, but the moment he decides that he doesn't care about that, he can just take all control back. The moment he decides that he doesn't care anymore, he can kill her, he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, because he's goddamn Homelander.
Because he's Homelander. And, you know, he finishes really quickly, and she has to comfort him about it. He's like, oh, no, it's fine. Like, that was good. And again, it's a very weird incestuous kind of feeling to it, you know, because she's like, good boy, kind of all these phrases like that.
Yeah, all season we've had this kind of pseudo-mother-son relationship.
Yeah, so it's got that weirdness to it. And so that's that scene, and she goes home, and Billy's there, because we know Billy went off to do it, because Billy disappears from the episode for a while. We do all this other stuff with the other boys and stuff. And she's sitting there, he's drugged the nanny, and he's like, hey, we're going to wait for Homelander, you're going to call him. And of course, Homelander shows up. This is it. We get to the big final section of the episode, and he's, you know, Billy's put Stillwell in explosives. He's got C4 all over her.
Yeah.
And he's got a trigger, which is one of those release triggers, so that if he's killed, dead man switch.
Yeah.
If he's killed or whatever, that's it. The idea being that if Homelander cares about her, then he won't want her to die, therefore, you know, so on and so on. But when Homelander shows up, he brings down her baby, and it's a very interesting performance from Elizabeth Shue, this whole scene, because she's constantly just concerned with the fact that the baby's here. Like, no,
just like let him, you know, put him back upstairs.
Yeah, put him away from us where the explosion is going to happen. I mean, admittedly, with that much C4, I think the whole house might go. You know.
Yeah, and arguably you'd go, well, maybe in Homelander's arms is safer because he could shield the baby.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, it clearly does that with Billy at the end of the scene. So, yeah, but again, that's this thing we've had all season with Homelander being scary. You know, this idea of his presence being scary. The way that he's so casual here, and the way that because he just casually brings up, like, oh yeah, you're Billy. Like, do you know that me and your wife? And he does that like sort of fist kind of motion as he does this. And he says, oh, she came on to me, and she was a great lay. She came 3 times. Like, he says all these things. And here's the thing, like, obviously he's so awful that I would never want to believe him, like, that it wasn't rape. But the one thing that makes me suspect that he might actually be telling the truth, that it wasn't rape, is that he never actually knows he's accused of that.
No.
He never has a reason to actually say, oh, it wasn't that, it was this.
Here's the thing. I can see both ways, in the sense that he doesn't realize it was rape because it never even crossed his mind.
Yeah, he thinks he can just take what he wants, so he would never consider it rape. But
yeah, exactly.
The idea that she was so scared she just didn't say no because he's that terrifying. Because we've seen all season that everyone's so terrified of him that
does what he says. Yeah,
they'll just make him happy.
But alternatively, I do believe there would be a large subset of women, especially with his public image, who would throw themselves at him.
Very possibly, yeah. I mean,
and he probably bought into that hype himself.
Because here's the thing: the footage we saw of her leaving the office, it did look a little bit, and it does look like it could be that she's like walking out that way because it was assault, and she's just like she's really torn up by it.
It could have been regret that she just did this.
It's guilt, yeah. Well, I'd say more guilt because she is a married woman. Like she sort of like succumbed to say some emotion or whatever. And then she comes out of the room and goes, shit, I just cheated on my husband and I feel shitty about it. It could be that. And I think what's interesting about this is that it kind of plays upon because we've heard this whole thing through Billy. And Billy was led to this conclusion to an extent by Mallory and seeing this footage.
Yeah, and we've just had no real reason to doubt it.
Yeah, we've not. And like I say, he's awful enough that I would totally never trust his word over the footage or Billy or whatever else. But at the same time, the thing that kind of makes me think there might be some truth to this is that he has no reason to deny anything. He doesn't know he's been accused of anything.
A Homelander, when he is, being himself with these people, in this scene, when we've seen other times, he's very blunt. He's very honest. He has no reason to lie.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, like I said, the only way it's either it wasn't rape and Billy has been misled, or Homelander doesn't realize it was rape.
He doesn't consider it. Yeah,
totally possible. But I don't think Homelander is. If he did rape, I don't think he's aware that he did.
He doesn't believe it at the very least.
Yeah.
Which brings an interest because I think both things raise a lot of it, because obviously the ending here is, before we get to the edit, so I want to go through it in order. Homelander says, what do you want? Do you want, a confession? Do you want this? Do you want that? And
you want money.
And Billy's very quiet the whole time. He only has a couple of lines here. He's the lighting here is great. He's like in almost complete shadow. There's just a little bit of light down one side of his face, and he's like, I just want to really hurt you, and that'll be good enough for me. Like, that's all I want to do.
And Homelander's like, so there's nothing I can do to actually stop you killing her then, because that's all you really want now.
Yeah. But here's the thing, I don't think he just does what he does because it ruins his plan. I think he does what he does because, as he says, he went back to the the Vought dude, and because the details of the stories didn't match exactly, he went back and forced them to tell him the truth. And we don't know what the truth is yet, or we don't find out until the final scene, obviously. But he leans in and he forces Stillwell to be honest with them, like, because she keeps saying she loves him. And again, it's this mechanism of trying to control him and stop him from being whatever. And she admits that she's scared of him, and her baby's just over there, which, there's a good chance the baby's dead, by the way.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah, there's no evidence that he saved the baby. And I think the big line for me here, actually, from Homelander is he says, you love that baby more than me. And again, it's this idea of him being a petulant child of a man.
He's jealous, yeah.
Yeah, he's jealous of the attention the baby gets from her. The idea that this woman cares about her own child more than him.
We saw it in the in the scene where she was taking the child to the doctors.
Exactly, yeah.
It really came in there, and he was like, "Oh, you're spending too much time with this baby. It's just an accessory."
And do you know what the weird thing is that, like, this is the sort of thing where, of course, she cares about her. I mean, this is a normal thing in relationships where both parents, like, know that both other partners care more about their kids than each other now. Like, it's kind of this natural thing that most couples. I mean, there is examples of, like, some shitty, like, dads or whatever who get jealous of their kid for getting more attention. They don't like, being a parent or whatever. But typically speaking, in a healthy relationship, it's accepted that your kids come first, and that the idea that if you had to sacrifice either your kid or your partner, you'd always pick your partner, and the partner would want you to do that because you care about your kid more. And it's accepted that the kid is more important now. This is Homelander not accepting this and saying, no, I am more important. I should always be more important to you.
Yeah, no, this is Homelander with the new baby brother,
Sure.
who is annoyed that he's not getting, he's the only child and he's getting all the attention.
Yeah, essentially, but mixed with sex.
Yeah, that murkies it up. But,
yeah. So yeah, absolutely terrifying stuff. And as soon as she says it, he says thank you, and then does the heat vision right into her eyes. That's what this scene essentially was. It was the end of the 2014 Godzilla when Godzilla uses atomic breath right in the mouth.
It was, yeah.
It was that moment
too.
Yeah, and it's a brutal death. Like, the effects here. Obviously, it's CG, but like it's like her entire face just burns from the inside. It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
So really great stuff. And I love how he turns around with a smile on his face, and he's like, "So what was your plan again?"
Yeah.
And then I love how Billy's like, "Oh well," and just releases the bomb. He's like, "Well, I'm dead anyway. I might as well just do it myself."
Yeah.
And then, of course, he wakes up on the traditional American lawn with a white picket fence, sunny day, and Homelander's standing over him and is like, "Oh, wake up there, old chum," or whatever he says. I don't know, it's a phrase like that. He says friend or buddy, or I think it's buddy. He says buddy.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even get up. He just kind of rolls onto his side, and he's like, Stillwell never told you what the truth was. Oh, well, you're going to love this then, kind of thing. And, it's like funny because just last episode we were like saying, we never saw the dead baby. The baby might still be alive. Like, that was our logic.
Yes. We also didn't see a dead mother.
That's true. Well, I think even early on we said that she might still be out there.
Yeah, I think we assumed less so after the birth scene where it was kind of like alien chest bursty, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, this is the thing. Because we saw her bleeding so much, we never necessarily suspected that the story itself was just a complete lie. Because obviously we're hearing it from this guy's like lie. So we see this, but that doesn't necessarily mean it really happened. So we kind of took that more at face value. It was just the kid we suspected.
Yeah,
may not actually be dead. But sure enough, out walks this kid who's about 9, or 7 or 8, whatever his age is, and then out walks Becca, and Billy sees this, and she like sees Homelander, she sees him, and I think her reaction is very hard to read here as to exactly like I think her reaction with Billy is at least partly easy. Like, there's definitely like this guilt on her face of like because he's not seen her.
There's shock that he's there.
But it doesn't answer the question of like, was it consensual? Was it, if it was rape, was it forced physical rape? Was it rape out of fear, as we were speculating?
I'm sure we will delve into that.
Oh, absolutely. But it does raise a lot of questions, or bring up a lot of avenues where we could go next season in terms of like, let's say it was consensual and she just went into hiding. And maybe that was still out of fear. Maybe that was like out of fear of like what Homelander might do if he finds out about this. So she still did it out of protection for him. Like, how does that change how Billy thinks about it? This idea that he, she wasn't like. Admittedly, though, I will say this: the footage of her on the park bench walking off like a zombie does suggest that it wasn't consensual. I will say that one definitely feels a bit more.
I will say, no, I agree that it plays that, but just as a counterpoint to go along, I can see reading it as she knows she's pregnant at this point, and she's just like, "What the hell am I gonna do?
Okay,
I can't go home to Billy. I can't go to my husband with this. What am I gonna do now?" I can see it playing that way if they choose to go down that route.
Yeah, because it throws a really interesting wrench into Billy's entire quest for vengeance. If she wasn't a complete victim in what happened.
Yeah, it becomes a, hey, you stole my wife, almost, rather than, you raped my wife. It's completely different.
Yeah. But if it was still a forced thing, either through fear or physical, then this idea of Homelander's now here, like that opens up some new interesting possibilities of where instead of him being this threat to Stillwell all season and her being scared, like, what do they have to do to Homelander to make sure they don't kill it? He doesn't kill the whole family. He doesn't, he doesn't just kill both of them right there because he doesn't need them.
No, absolutely not. I suspect he might want the son now that he knows that he.
Oh yeah, I was thinking just the adults. I wasn't. I thought. Yeah, I was thinking the son he'd still want, but yeah, like both the let's say the parents.
I love the idea that they hid this from him because he does not have the maturity to have a kid.
Here's a bit of speculation I'd have. I think, regardless of the actual act itself, I think the agreement from her to go into hiding and raise the kid is what Vought, if that was his name. I don't know if that was actually his name. The old dude, but remember when he said that no, what you needed to be a good person was to be raised properly. I wonder if she actually was talked into like hiding away with the kid and raising him properly to make sure he wasn't a monster. Maybe
I suspect so. It's almost like, hey, we need something to fight Homelander.
Yeah, almost like maybe it was like, hey, so that by the time he's maybe like in his 20s, we actually have something to fight Homelander with. Like maybe that's the end game almost.
Yeah.
Is make sure he's good, make sure he's noble, so that by the time he grows up, we have something to fight back with.
And I can see why, hey, maybe don't take this kid back to Butcher, because he is not going to be a good, healthy kid if that's the father figure.
Well, I mean, I think Butcher seemed alright at the time, but maybe it's the idea of like, he's not going to accept it and it's going to create a toxic environment, because I mean, but will he want to raise this other man's kid?
Exactly, that's what I'm on about,
yeah. That's a very interesting idea, and there's this interesting parallel as well to the idea of Robin's father leaving her, and then in this case, like Homelander as a father just not being there because he didn't know. There's some interesting parallels to kind of like start comparing different characters with, and all that.
I assume you meant Annie's father then.
Sorry, Annie. Yeah, what did I say?
You said Robin's.
Said Robin. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Robin. Sorry for mixing you up with the living person. So no, I do like this cliffhanger. It does murky a lot of like Billy's motivations, and I think that's why it's a good cliffhanger, because the rug is so pulled completely from under him, and I think there's so many points in this season where we could speculate, is she alive or isn't she? Is this kid alive or isn't he? So it's not even that surprising that this is where they went with it. Like it's a fairly plausible thing they could have went with as a path.
Yeah, I mean we even spoke about it last episode.
But I think what makes it work is that at this point we don't even know how much she wanted anything that happened, or how much she wants this kid or loves this kid, and that emotionally pulls the rug even further out of under Billy's feet, where Billy's like just he's in it, like, because Billy, regardless of how healthy or not you think he was, and he wasn't, like he was always so determined and sure of his one goal. He was always like, he always managed to joke and say that things were okay because he was so determined to do his one thing, and he would never let, because even in the face of Homelander, he kept a straight face. He didn't get scared. I mean, Homelander even listened to his heartbeat and says, "Your heart's pounding, but you're not scared. You're actually
just angry." Yeah. It was almost a respect. It's like, because everyone's terrified of him.
Yeah. And maybe that's why you won't kill him for a while, because he's actually, it's almost like a Joker thing where he's kind of like, oh, I'm kind of amused by you because you're willing to stand up to me.
Yeah, might well be.
So no, but emotionally this puts him into like a whirlpool almost of like not knowing what to think, or because he's been so one note in his life for years. And here's another question: let's say it is more of a lie. Did Mallory makes some of it up just to get him on board? Did she manipulate him, or did she believe what she was saying to
him? Again, given that we learn Mallory has a personal vendetta against Lamplighter, I think it was.
Yeah.
I can see her maybe had bent the truth a little bit. Just maybe she didn't even have to hide anything, but just present it in a certain manner.
Yeah.
And kind of make him like her. So again, so. In the same way that we've seen Billy been doing with Huey all season, make him like him, just kind of mold them to be the next soldier.
Yeah, and this idea where Mallory's learned that's not worked, and she regrets turning Billy into this, and that's why she's saying to Huey, "Don't become this. Like, don't."
Yeah, I like that we've got all three stages of that journey kind of represented, with her at the end, Huey at the start.
It's the same with Annie and Maeve. This idea of like, this is the journey that Annie could be going on, because here's someone who went through it already. It's a solid storytelling technique, where you have people who are going to go through the same thing as someone else, and you
cautionary tale.
Yeah, you show the result of it. And then it's not necessarily always clear to begin with that that's what they're doing, but by the time you get into the story, you realize that no, this person's becoming that, but they could maybe make a different choice or whatever.
Yeah, and be better because of it usually.
Yeah, usually that's the case. Yeah. So, no. If it wasn't clear, I think this season finale was fantastic.
Yeah, like I said, I got the one gripe that I feel I could have done with another moment with the rest of the boys. Just having a beat at the end of their plot.
Yeah, because I think the other thing is I talked about how it was using all those moments of like, this the scene with the A-Train, some of the stuff with the Deep, where it's making things not be black and white, and just because you hate someone, it's not okay for this other thing and so on. I think the ending, the cliffhanger with Billy, like his goal, his motivation all season has been very black and white. So it's a very like classic movie thing. Someone raped to kill my wife. I want revenge. That's all that matters. That's all I care about. It's very simple and clear cut. This ending makes it murky as shit and completely, just muddies it all up. And I think that's perfect for his story, and it goes along with the themes of some of what we've been doing, where it's not as clear cut. Even though to a point there is some elements where I think it is. I think the idea of Annie stepping up saying, you know what, no, this isn't that complicated. I want to be a hero. I'm going to be a goddamn hero, no matter what everyone says. There are things that are clear cut, obviously, but yeah. So I like the thematically so many things have kind of like jive together in a really nice way.
Yeah, no, it was good. A lot of great choices here. And do we have another Clash song in here? I can't remember. I feel like there might have been one.
I don't remember one.
I don't recall now, but I think maybe there was one or something. But yeah, again, I feel like there was, and I thought it was a callback to the first episode where we had the big London's Calling moment at the end. But can't remember which song it was now. It's gonna bug me. Oh well. But no, it was really solid.
Yeah. So, super excited for season 2, and this show has been such a pleasant surprise. Because obviously I thought, this might be good. It might, but there was a lot of concerns going in, and I think, this is one of Amazon's big winners. When it comes to their shows now, I think this is at the top of the pile, just in the sense, not necessarily like, do I like this more than Only God Forgives? I'll maybe revisit that question when I finish that season, because obviously we've got 3 episodes left of that. But that's still a question. But I think in terms of reaching,
you mean Too Old to Die Young?
What did I say?
Only God Forgives.
I think that's a fair slip.
It is. But I just wanted for people who are like, what Amazon shows that? It's just another Refn movie.
It's a Refn movie, yes. That's a funny one, actually. That's funny that I said that.
Yeah.
But what I like, what I'm saying about this is that I'm seeing it kind of reach more people. I'm seeing more people talk about it as time goes on. Word of mouth on this is quite good. It's getting more mainstream appeal.
That Amazon promoted this one.
That is true. And I loved Esmail's one, Homecoming. It's just Homelander. Yes, Homecoming.
Sorry, I've been thinking that throughout this entire season. I've been comparing it to other Amazon shows.
Yeah.
And going,
and I think those 3 are definitely a favorite. And I think the Ticks in the next one, assume that got cancelled. But I think we are kind of seeing them ramp up to have more notable mainstream things that are being recognised. And I think The Boys is maybe the biggest one I've seen from them so far.
Yeah, because obviously we've had Hannah was pretty good as well.
Oh, true. Yeah, I enjoyed Hannah. Yeah.
Yeah. See, they're creeping up now, aren't they?
They're creeping up.
I mean, we weren't as hot on Jack Ryan as some people were, but it's still good. It's definitely not bad. It's just maybe less our show.
Yeah, I mean, Jack Ryan is unlikely we're going to cover season 2, honestly, at this point. Especially if other things are on, and given that both Netflix and Amazon are ramping things up, given that Disney and Apple are about to start pumping out shit soon.
Yeah, but it's definitely not a bad show.
Yeah. Intriguing. Also, shout out to Comrade Detective for being a fun little
that was delightful.
Just a little 1 season, 6 episode funny thing, but a nice little show.
I appreciate both Amazon and Netflix for having stupid shit like that. Just that. But I would count Too Old to Die Young and Homecoming under kind of that same category of this isn't for a big mainstream audience.
Yeah, which is why I'm shocked that Homecoming got a 2nd season, but I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah, because that was... I can imagine so many people got 3 minutes into that and went, nope.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But it's perfect for us. So.
Yeah, we loved it.
Yeah. I think because it was such a little director's project, and we're getting a different director for season 2, I wonder if it'll almost be like, a different director will come in and put their own stamp on it. And
which maybe will be a little disappointing in the sense that, okay, it might not be the same. It might not be a director we like as much.
It may not be, but if they make it their own thing.
If it's just, this is one director's vision every season, I can respect that.
Yeah, they just have to take what was set up by the previous season and go with it.
Yeah.
But hey, so no, that is episode 8 of The Boys. I think it's worth mentioning here. in terms of stuff that's coming up TV-wise for us in the future. Obviously, here on the YouTube channel, everything's on the same place. If you listen to the audio feed, this is on the Almost Cancelled TV reviews feed, there's also the Netflix original reviews TV feed. Find links over at our Patreon. I'll mention that in a minute if you need to find them. But coming up soon from Amazon, we are going to try Carnival Row, which is their big thing that's hitting at the end of the month. I
suspect we won't cover it past episode 1.
That's the assumption because it doesn't look like my sort of thing. But we're going to try it. Maybe I'll be surprised. It's entirely
honestly,
possible.
I watched a trailer the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure it's even my sort of thing.
Whoa, okay, that's surprising.
Yes, and I'm far more into that genre than Pete is.
But we're going to try it and see how it is.
Yeah, we will, yeah.
See how it is. I don't know if we'll get anything else from Amazon specifically scheduled in the next month or so.
Not that I'm aware of.
Because these streaming services are very guilty of not announcing things too far in advance. We can tell you, though, that on Netflix, I just started covering season 3 of Glow on my own. We'll be covering Mindhunter season 2, which starts later this week. And we'll be doing that fairly quickly. We're still working through Too Old to Die Young. I almost said Only God Forgives again. We've got 3 episodes left of that. We're doing that weekly. And so check out these various shows if you're interested.
Just saying off chat there, for whatever reason you're only interested in Amazon shows that we're covering. I don't know why, because there's not that many of them. But The Expanse will be back in December, so that's the big one we've got penciled in that we're really excited for.
For the record, you can find all 3 seasons' previous reviews on the same audio feed as this, or on the YouTube, of course. Nice and easy to find. We love that show. It's coming back for season 4 in December, so that's cool. And also, actually, just starting tomorrow. Well, it's on tonight, but I mean, our review's coming tomorrow. Is the Terror Infamy is starting, so we're trying that. We like season 1 a fair bit. Trying season 2. It's an anthology, so it's a completely fresh start. You don't have to see season 1. And also, there's a HBO miniseries called Our Boys, no relation to The Boys, which I'm trying with Tara, which we're going to review as well and see how that is. That's from HBO, and obviously they tend to have a high standard. And speaking of HBO, the final season of The Deuce is coming next month as well. So all this TV is coming. Yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot of good TV as well, though. So
yeah. I there was a teaser trailer for The Deuce season 3.
I didn't watch it because I'm like, I don't need to.
Someone said it to me. I just clicked it because it was a minute long, and I love that they're really playing up the VHS era because we know we're getting into that for the season. So when it ends, it's in a 4:3 and it's got the static lines and stuff, and I'm like, okay. Let's play with that. I'm
down.
So looking forward to all this stuff. So yes, but otherwise, let us know what you think of The Boys season 1 and the finale in the comments. Like and subscribe, all the usual stuff. Guys on the Twitters at @mail_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the show and the channel and everything we do here, you can head over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, where you can support us for as little as $1 per month, and it helps keep the shows coming, all the reviews we do on the YouTube, the podcast, everything. Obviously there's higher tiers as well. At $1 you get bonus stuff, you get some stuff early. At the higher tiers you get to do things like vote and movie podcasts, and you get to sponsor certain TV show reviews and things like that. So go and have a look and see if you want to take part in any of that and help keep all the content coming. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla? And in fact, one last point. This show was in 2.35 to 1, and I didn't mention it all season. And I love that we're at the point now with TV shows where that doesn't even occur to me in episode 1. It's just normal, and it's beautiful.